So you ready to go there, Easy E?
Ready to roll. Ready to roll.
Back for another exciting episode. This is the special Jared Allen edition of the Bottom Line. The Hall of Fame list just come out for the NFL this year, and not only is this a good number, but it's also none other than Jared Allen should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And my cohort over here should be just as happy because Devin Hester's up as well. So
two guys that should probably go in the Hall of Fame with Bears jerseys. I get it. Hey, I got to root for Jared Allen too, man. He wore the Bears jersey, man.
He was the man. He was the man. I went to a game in St. Louis sporting the mullet, and my youngest son was sporting the mullet too. And we got him to sign our sign. Amanda, the Laughing Hyena, made a Jared Allen sign for us to hold up. And during the game, he actually turned around and had one of his guys go to the wall so we could hand the sign over, and he signed it for us and the whole ball of wax. So Jared Allen is the man.
He's a good dude. Real good dude. I enjoyed his couple of years with Chicago Bears too. Even though before that I couldn't stand the guy.
I was going to look on the comment line here because I was going to see if Jersey was listening tonight because, I figured he would think what goes around comes around when it comes to this MVP talk. Because just as down as he was last week, I can only imagine that my friend Derek here is probably a little down in the mouth himself too. So my question is, I had top 6 MVP candidates. There was really only 2 of the 6 that really had a game that was worth mentioning. So the whole landscape has changed for the MVP. And I can't help but think to myself, how many millions of dollars that game cost Brock Purdy in his next contract.
I get it. It's just like with anything, especially toward the end of the year with an MVP race and things like that. Everything gets put on the microscope. But I mean, just like I said before, if Baltimore wins that game and Lamar Jackson, has a game, he's the MVP. I mean, it was that simple. Or if San Francisco comes out and rolls like they have for a while here, then it remains Brock Purdy, and this is the way it is. I mean, am I disappointed? Yeah, because I'm an Iowa State guy. I mean, so I was rooting for him, but at the same time, sometimes I can go back to, I like to go back to my '85 Bears because that's really all we have to go back to. Losing that game to Miami that night on Monday Night Football may have been the best thing that ever happened to the Bears. It refocuses you, it knocks you down a peg, and it puts you back into perspective on what's afoot, So, for Brock Purdy, I mean, listen, there's lots of quarterbacks that have had bad games. Now they want to put him under a microscope. I mean, they want to talk about how he's Mr. Relevant. Shouldn't be. Now they want to put him under a microscope as he's Tom Brady and see. We told you. That's fine. I mean, guys like Nick Wright, they want to jump out there and I told you he was fool's gold. Well, that's fine. I mean, we'll see. It'll all play out. But like I said last week, I mean, Lamar Jackson clearly put himself in first. Now the onus is on him to stay in that spot.
But who continues to lurk? Who continues to lurk? My man. And it was funny because you went dark. You and I were going back and forth during the game, good-natured humor. But then it started not getting fun for me either because 49ers were playing so bad that it was hurting my man Christian McCaffrey. Well, so it's like, dude, how many interception, I mean, now you're hurting McCaffrey's chances because the 49ers as a team are looking like crap.
I'll tell you this, but my question is, okay, clearly. So as we're looking, as I was watching the game, and I'm the first, go to the first interception. Okay, is it more? Now, clearly, it was a bad throw. It was picked off because Hamilton was a safety. But I was watching. Must have been, what is today? Wednesday. I was watching yesterday, and they were talking. I think it was on. It was either on First Take. I can't remember which show it was on. They said, was that putting your receivers and the quarterback in the best position? Because they said they showed the coverage, and obviously they were playing two back. Usually in that situation, you run some sort of corner route or some sort of off route to occupy the back safety. If you occupy Hamilton, Kittle, they pointed out Kittle. If Kittle runs even a pylon, he occupies Hamilton, the middle of the field opens up, and that ball's a touchdown. So he was pointing out, and he goes, we could go back.
Okay, here's what I got to tell Eric. He's got to be
plays.
Eric, you gotta not be so animated because the more you're moving around, the more you're cutting off.
Because I had to switch to my phone, my kid's trying to call me, and I'm trying to ignore it quick. But I'm trying to ignore it before he messes with me. But what I'm saying is when you start really digging deep, and I think even Shanahan said this after the game, because there's two criticisms I had of Shanahan. Because listen, we always want to bag on the players. Like if Dak Prescott has a bad game, we want to say, it was on Dak Prescott. But if you really break down the play, and you break down, that particular play, why did they not have somebody occupying Hamilton in that case? They had two under routes that were going to do nothing but occupy the corner and the outside linebacker. So I'm not saying it's not Purdy's fault for throwing for there, but when you threw that second interception on tip ball, you look at that game and you're like, listen, how many NFL games have you watched where tip balls happen all the time and they don't get picked off? Tons. Tons. That ball bounced, whether it was off of Kittle's chest and bounced right to Hamilton on that play, on that interception. I mean, it was just like every ball that went up into the air was right to a Ravens defense player. So, you know what? You take that game if you're the 49ers and you wash it. But my other question for Shanahan would be this. If you were struggling to make something happen in the pass game, and Christian McCaffrey is the, in your opinion, the MVP, okay? He's the MVP. Where was the run game? Why were they not trying to establish it? Why were they not running the football?
Well, so here we got Christian McCaffrey, 14 carries, 103 yards and a touchdown, 6 receptions for 28 yards. So where was the run game? It wasn't because of McCaffrey there wasn't a run game.
But if you were watching that game, 103 of those 103 yards, 50 or 60 of them came on one carry. On that long carry down the left.
A quarterback that throws for 250 and has 2 70-yard touchdowns. I mean, that's
correct. But what I'm saying is,
the voice of reason is coming.
But why did they not go to the run game a little bit more?
Listen, let me tell y'all something about what happened Monday. First off, we probably just saw.
Why did they not go to the run game when the passing game was clearly off?
Because
something was off there.
Baltimore was on top of everything. That even though they allowed the big 50, 60-yard run for Christian McCaffrey, that was it. You had to see everything else.
I'm having trouble hearing him.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, A-Train. It's got to be on Eric's end.
All right. So when you watch the game, everything else was taken out except that one big run, right? They had Brock Purdy throw for 4 interceptions, mainly in the first half. right? They brought in Sam Darnold, then he threw a pick near the end of the game too, right? Baltimore was on top of everything the entire game. Granted, okay, they scored 19 points. Well, it was garbage points near the end. I think no, they were starting to catch up in the fourth quarter. But my thing was Baltimore had control of the game from start to finish. So that was the big thing. And I have a comment from Odin. He was like, "So Purdy has two last awesome games. Jackson has one or two trash games. Is Jackson still an MVP
I
on
don't know.
just
I
because of
can't
one
hear him.
game?" I just really
I
think,
can't
like
hear.
was said, he had a bad game. He just had a bad game.
Yeah, and you know that Purdy's having a bad game when, even when they brought in Darnold and he threw a pick too. It was like I didn't realize Darnold was in there yet, and I went, "Oh my God, there was the fifth interception." When at the end there, and it wasn't. And when I saw after the game that he only threw four picks, I'm like, "What?" Well, then it dawned on me. It dawned on me that they made the quarterback change, and I thought, "Oh my God!" I was thinking Darnold was Purdy. Yeah, that just kind of summed up how the game went.
Well, I missed
Uh,
because the audio was going wacko on me. I missed what A Train said, but I mean, yeah, I mean, to me, the passing game early on clearly. I mean, up until he threw the pick, I mean, he hit Kittle over the middle. Then I think he hit Ayuk, got him down in the red zone. I thought, yeah, here we go. San Francisco's going to roll. And then he threw that pick. And from the time that pick happened, it looked like, I mean, the ball that they were trying to get out to Christian McCaffrey there that was tipped backwards and then, of course, fell into a Ravens' hands. I'm like, why are we running that? Let's get the train back on the rails here, and you know what I mean. Like, let's get the train back on the rails. Let's get McCaffrey the ball, put it in his hands, get everybody settled down, move the ball down the field, and get in the end zone and calm it all down. But they just kept
So,
going to the air. They kept going to
so
the air.
let's
They kept
talk.
going to the air.
Let's talk about Shanahan because what was the big knock on Garoppolo? I mean, the big knock on him was that yes, he was a good quarterback, and yes, he was getting the 49ers were doing good, but they honestly didn't feel like Garoppolo could get him to the promised land. So eventually they give up on him and totally turn the page. So now here we are. You've got Brock Purdy that's making $840,000 this year because he's still on a rookie contract. It's time for him to cash in and have his first big contract. And then, oh no, the lights are at their brightest, just like they were when he said Garoppolo couldn't come through. Now the lights are on their brightest, and everybody's waiting for this big showdown between Jackson and Purdy screws the pooch. So it's like,
Well,
does Shanahan go away from that game thinking, uh-oh, maybe we don't give this guy a huge contract? Because face it, Purdy was looking at a contract at least 45 million plus
he's
a
got two
year.
more years.
I
He's
mean,
got
come
two
on.
more years.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it. like this. It was just one bad game.
Yes,
They
thank
had.
you.
Yeah, just
One
one
game.
bad
It
game.
was.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
it was just one bad game. But there's big games that stick with players.
Okay. Again,
All
it
right.
goes back to what Odin was saying. So if he has two awesome, like the last two games of the season, he has two awesome games. Jackson has one or two trash. You still not giving Brock Purdy the MVP. But I also want to put out there that he is a straight game manager. Yep, and I'm throwing it out there at dirty because we had this conversation. We had this conversation about what Cam Newton was saying about game managers and game changers. You clearly saw that game, what a game changer and what a game manager does. You saw that. You
Yeah.
can't sit and tell me any different. You saw a game changer and you saw a game manager. Brock Purdy was trying his best not to throw any picks, and he threw four of them. And then Lamar Jackson, no matter what you want to say about his arm, whatever, but when he's using his legs, it changes the game. It changes what the defense has to do to stop him. That was the whole understanding of what game changer and what game manager is. And that
But
was the
answer
key.
Answer me
Please.
this, A-Train.
Okay.
What makes game manager such a dirty word then?
And that was the thing. He was not trying to make it a dirty word. He was just letting you know these are the type of quarterbacks they are. Because that was Cam Newton was a game changer. Cam could utilize his arm and he can also utilize his legs. There's a reason why he's had 1,000-yard seasons as a quarterback on the ground. And then he had the 3,000 and 4,000-yard seasons as a quarterback. It's not a dirty word. He just wanted to let y'all know, stop putting him in this, put Brock Purdy and Dak Prescott like they changing the game when they're not.
Well, and I can agree with that, but let me ask you this question. Over the last, do you think that you can only be a game manager if you can move on your feet? Or a game changer, I mean?
It has if and you're not really doing that much. Like Josh Allen would be considered that, Patrick Mahomes would be considered game changers because of what they're able to do with their legs and their arm.
Oh, now that you brought that up, let's look at Mahomes.
Oh boy.
Let's look at that right now. Everybody said Mahomes is the greatest thing since sliced bread, man. They even have Mahomes Mountain, right?
Okay.
Okay. Now, you say a guy like Purdy can't exist without all these playmakers on San Francisco, right? Can't exist. He wouldn't be crap without all these playmakers on San Francisco. What's that dumpster fire look like in Kansas City right now? They have Mahomes. Shouldn't you be able to just plug in anybody, man? We got Mahomes, baby. You can plug anybody in.
I'm going to tell you, it ain't even the players. It's Eric Bieniemy. When you lose an offensive coordinator like Eric Bieniemy, it changes. That changes a lot.
Yeah, I agree. What I'm telling you is this, though. Can an offensive coordinator have a bad game just like a player can?
As in putting together a plan. If you have a bad plan for that week, that's possible. Yes.
Yeah.
Of course.
I just watched on TikTok of Daniels, the coach for Miami, and they were playing the Titans. I don't remember what year it was. Maybe it was last year. And he stood up in front of the whole team and said, "Listen, my game plan was effing trash. This one's on me. But you know what? That's part of being a man and standing in front of you and saying, it's effing trash. Here, I believe Tua can complete every pass. Look at this play I called for him. We have bad days too." What I'm saying is, if I'm Kyle Shanahan, the one thing I look at is like, if the air game needs to come to us, we have Christian McCaffrey in the background. If we need to win a game on the ground, then let's put the pressure on him and see if we can't catch Baltimore deep. See if we can't catch Baltimore with the passing. But the problem is they came out firing from the first freaking second. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, this is what I think happened. I think even Kyle Shanahan was buying into it a little bit. He was buying into, we're pretty unstoppable. I don't give a crap if it's Baltimore, if it's Arizona, or who it is, we're pretty unstoppable. And I think that, they took the Baltimore Ravens for granted. You can talk big game. You can talk about, listen, this game in the grand scheme of things meant nothing to the 49ers other than we all called it a big game. It did not change the NFC for them. It didn't change any goal they have in the NFC. It doesn't. This wouldn't even be an opponent for them until the Super Bowl. Those types of things. So it really didn't change anything for San Francisco.
Well,
all it did, like I said back from the '85 Bears, is it gave them a wake up call. It said, "Listen, guys, you come out and lay an egg like that, and you're going to get beat."
Well,
refocus.
We're really down to two players. Last week I told you my number one was Christian McCaffrey, 2 was Brock Purdy, and 3 was Lamar Jackson. So what happened? I think Brock Purdy, say it's only one game, but I think in the spotlight game like it was, that performance takes him out of consideration.
Listen, that's
so
fine.
To me, you look at all the possible guys that could have been MVP. Jalen Hurts, ho-hum weekend. You got Patrick Mahomes. That was a bad weekend. Dak Prescott. Nothing special. So if Brock Purdy's out of the mix, that leaves you with Christian McCaffrey and Lamar Jackson. Now, when you look at what a quarterback does and what a running back does, yes, I agree with A-Train, the fact that when you look at Lamar Jackson, there's no stat for plays that are successful that shouldn't have been successful. I mean, Lamar keeps plays alive with the best of them. I mean, there's no doubt about it that he can keep plays alive. And there's stuff, positive yardage that happens because of him, there's no doubt. But at the end of the day, if you're a stats guy and you look at it and you say, okay, Lamar Jackson, 23 for 35, 252 yards, 2 touchdowns and no picks. To me, that's a journeyman's game. Now, again, if you're making plays happen, whatever, you can have that debate. Then you look at Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey going into the game already had 20 touchdowns, 13 rushing and 7 receiving. What does he do as a running back? 14 carries, 103 yards and a touchdown, another 28 in the air. So Lamar and Christian McCaffrey, albeit not great stats, when you look at probably the top 6, and then, you look at Tyreek Hill, he had a so-so game himself because I am on my fantasy team, so I know. and so I know he damn near cost me a trip to the championship this weekend, and I was gonna be big time pissed. But anyway, so to me, it's Lamar Jackson versus Christian McCaffrey. I still give Christian McCaffrey the nod, even though I'm sure everybody's going to disagree and say it should be Lamar.
Or
I
no,
still take
Tyreek Hill now. They're throwing Tyreek Hill in this mix.
Right. Now. Listen, I will tell you this. The only way that a quarterback does not win this award is if Lamar Jackson goes out this next week and lays an egg against Miami. They have a letdown, and he looks bad. I mean, that's the only way. I mean, that's just plain fact of the matter. Do I love Chris McCaffrey? Yeah, excellent player. But in today's game, because of how it is so designed and how it so leans on the quarterback and what you ask of these NFL quarterbacks, Lamar's going to have to lay an egg. He's going
to have to lay an egg. But, I mean, usually when you have these MVP races, you have quarterbacks that are over and above the top.
Yeah.
And now you're finding that all the quarterbacks are starting to settle. Well, I mean, the stats just aren't there. It's not like they're just head and shoulders above the other positions.
The biggest thing is the timing of stuff. Okay? Lamar Jackson's coming into it just right. I think one of the people just commented, man, he's riding a high right now. He's coming through. He's trending high right now because he's put together some games here. They go into San Francisco and win. Like I said, he don't lay an egg. Even if he has journeyman stats, the dude's going to be the MVP. Christian McCaffrey's going to have to do some godlike work.
What do you think? What do you think, A-Train? Because when I watched the interview with Lamar Jackson after the game, I can see that smirk on his face. Because he's saying, without saying, I told you guys so. I bet on myself, and I won. That's what he's saying.
I think at this rate, Lamar is not thinking MVP. He's had the MVP, and he's thinking about getting past the division round because he's yet to do it. He hasn't gotten to the conference championship yet. And, he's had teams where it looks like that they were going to be there or even be in the Super Bowl. Because if anything, I think that's what Lamar is thinking at this point. And then I think it was the good doctor saying that his stats aren't MVP worthy yet. And if you look at him compared to his MVP season, they're actually worse. So, I mean, I can't say he's the MVP, but he's a definite game changer. Right. And so I looked at Tyreek's stats and I looked at Tua. Both of them right now, as we sitting here, both of them have a good shot at the MVP, especially Tua. Despite the fact he got 10 interceptions, he's over 4,000 yards and got 26 touchdowns. And then Tyreek Hill right now is over 100 receptions with 1,600 yards and 12 touchdowns.
And if he doesn't miss the week before, what was it, week 15 or week 15 because of injury. We're talking about him breaking Calvin Johnson's single season yardage record.
Or even the reception record. But listen, even this, now come on, man. Now I know I just complimented you, and you go sit here and talk weird mess about him being coach of the year. No, if anybody's going to be coach of the year in this case, it's going to be Kevin Stefanski over in Cleveland. As much as I hate to even say it, because I'm
Yeah, him or
serious.
Dan Campbell.
Why is it that every coach that leaves Minnesota, look at Tomlin, he goes to Pittsburgh and he's been a mainstay for like a couple decades now or whatever. Every coach that leaves Minnesota flourishes at the next place they go to.
I mean, even Dan Campbell has he's one of the players off the 0-16 2008 Lions, and here he is now taking them. He's taking them into the playoffs, and they just won the North Division. So, you know what?
One of the big things I will say about Lamar, though, and you mentioned it, A-Train, we know he's a game changer. We know he does all these things great and whatever. Brock Purdy's taking him to the NFC Championship.
Okay. All right. Listen, let's get something straight here. Let's get something straight.
There's tons of examples of that.
I get where you're going, sir. The reason why they were there was because of Jimmy Garoppolo halfway getting them there, right? Brock Purdy did get him to the NFC title, but he couldn't even play. Now, this is his first full year. Now, if that happens, then maybe we can give more conversation to that. But
correct.
So I cannot throw that.
You're right. You're right. But going back to your point and going to Ed's point, we're talking about Brock Purdy in the same sentence as, well, Lamar's just better, or he's not this quarterback, or he's not this quarterback, or he's whatever. We're talking about a quarterback with 20 games under his belt. And in those 20 games, he has led a team to the NFC Championship. And if he doesn't get hurt, who knows what happens? But that's the game. And now he has San Francisco in line to be the number one seed in the NFC again. All right? I'm just saying, resumes are resumes, and they're yours, whether they're good or they're bad. So San Francisco's resume is good in the entire time that Brock Purdy's there. So you can say he's not MVP guy. Okay, fine. But to discount what he's meant to that team is an absolute travesty and just say, well, because he's only getting paid this and he was Mr. Relevant and you could plug in. Well, if that was the case, you could plug me in there and San Francisco would be in the same spot. That's wrong. That's wrong for people to say that. And it's wrong for them to compare him to – actually, it's actually good that they are comparing him now because that does say that he is doing something special. Whether they want to give him any credit for it or not, whether Nick Wright wants to give him credit, that's fine. But he is doing something special. Otherwise, he wouldn't be up and even considered for the MVP talk, which he still, with those 4 interceptions, has way better numbers than Lamar Jackson does. But you got to give him his due. You got to give him his due, man.
Okay.
Chris, I'll give you your due on the 4 picks that the Vikings had. But I think there's a little difference between Nick Mullins' 4 picks. 4 picks against Detroit.
Did he have 2 tip balls and 1 hitting his arm as he let it go? Did he have that same thing happen, or did he just throw it right to the other?
Well, Mullins, I will say, Mullins probably is the first quarterback in NFL history that was getting sacked that threw an interception to the guy that sacked him. That's all I got to say.
And let's
when you're getting sacked and you throw the ball into the gut of the guy that's sacking you, I mean, that's like an all new low. That's like when you just sit on the couch and you just take it because what can you really say at that point? You know, right. You guys can keep giving me shit on the comment line about being a Vikings fan. You're not getting under this skin because I've had over 50 years of this pain. And don't ask me why. Don't ask me why I'm still a fan, but I still am. But just remember, this dude right here, Hall of Fame, in 2024, that's going to happen.
He's
That
going to
is a
look good in the
bless
Hall of
your
Fame of the
heart.
Bears jersey, baby.
Yo, that is a bless
Oh
your
my
heart.
God, we got David on. We got David listening. We got Mr. Sea Dragon himself listening.
Yeah, he's talking about this email. Okay, he jumped on and said that email was bogus and said that there was no dispersal draft. David, that's Friday. So that's what you're missing. This draft is
Oh my
Friday. That's
God.
what you're missing here, dude. Sorry.
David, as much, I will say this. And remember, just remember, David, you still owe me a Quick Trip Coke Zero. But I want the big one. I want the big one because you lost your bet.
The big Hall.
I will say this.
We have intentions.
The Seattle Sea Dragons
Leave it alone.
were an exciting, awesome team. And I will tell you, they come into St. Louis and they absolutely kicked our ass. I will give you that. And I'm just as bummed as anybody else that's an XFL fan that Seattle is not going to be part of the 2024 league going forward. Not to say that they're not going to be the following year, the year after that, I hope they are. But until this league expands and grows and can come up with a true Western division of Seattle, Portland, Oakland, Reno, San Diego, you fill in the blank. Until that happens, all I can tell you is Seattle was their own worst enemy. Because say what you want about the schedule, not being, doing any favors for Seattle, you can still say that the Seattle fans weren't even watching them on TV. Because out of the 8 teams in the XFL for the 2023 regular season, Seattle finished dead last in average viewership. So as much as they want to sit there and bitch and moan and complain about not being part of the 2024 season, you guys got to all hold up mirrors because the fan base of Seattle let that team down. Do they deserve to be gone? No, they don't. But are they gone because the fan base didn't support them? You damn right they are. Because you can talk about costs. Being clear out there alone on the West Coast, I guarantee you, if they're putting 30,000 butts in the seats and they're first, second, or third in viewership and they're rocking as an organization, they're in this league going forward, believe me. Because they're showing the league that here's what we bring to the table. But when you're dead last in viewership, and it wasn't even close that you guys were dead last in viewership, that shows them it's a fan base that doesn't support their team, that's out there on an island, that cost a fortune to fly to and from. That's just it. You guys were your biggest enemy. That's just plain and simple. That's the way it is.
Yeah, 100%.
You can say anything you want about the schedule, David. You can say anything about the schedule. But if that game is at 4 o'clock and all you guys are going to be stuck in traffic, you can still be watching it. If you're playing a Monday night game and the kids got school the next day, you can still be watching it. But you were watching it. You guys let your own franchise down. So I hope to God that you guys do what you got to do to get a team, because having you in the league needs to happen. And did I like your uniforms? I thought they were kick-ass. I don't know why you went from a sea dragon to like a sea worm on your helmet, but you guys had kick-ass unis. You had a kick-ass team. You brought excitement to the game. Again, you come to St. Louis, kicked our ass, kept us out of the playoffs. So we have nobody to blame but ourselves for not making the playoffs. But at the end of the day, the Seattle fan base let their own team down. It's that simple.
And the truth shall set you free.
I mean,
it's fact.
Did that qualify as a Ran-A train?
I think it did, because you kind of let everybody have it. You kind of let them foes have it. So we got to go in here and throw that up real quick. That was Daddy Ed's rant, sponsored by Wild Sun Winery and Brewing Company.
I mean, it sucks because you talk about a rivalry. When Ben DiNucci did his "Look at Me" flex in the end zone when he knocked out our linebacker
Oh
when he
man,
scored that touchdown. But then he proceeded to turn into the biggest jerk known to man.
Yeah.
It was a rivalry made in heaven. Can you imagine what the next game would have been like?
Oh,
What the
Been
next
awesome.
game in St. Louis would have been like when Seattle came back? Maybe someday
Man.
we'll see it, but I mean,
Yeah.
look in the
And
mirror,
here's
fan
the
base.
thing,
Look in the
man.
mirror.
I don't think. I think that the teams that are being left out, they're not going to be left out for good. It is just
No.
right now. If you really look at it, and I saw this earlier, and I'm like, they was talking about it on the internet. XFL versus USFL. This is what we freaking wanted. We wanted this. We wanted to see an XFL team and a USFL team go in the championship game against each other to see who's the better of the two, right? And so that's what we're going to potentially get when all of this drops, right? So right now you got 4 teams and then 4 teams. That's what it's being put out there. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying this is fact. That what's being put out there was one over the other, right? And so to have a champion between those two groups, oh man, that'd be amazing to see. If they use both types of rules in their games at home stadiums, that'd be cool. I think that'll be good. You have XFL rules at XFL home stadiums. You have USFL rules at their stadiums. That's something different. That's something that could be possible.
My
You know,
my grandkids got me a Christmas gift this year because
Well,
they know how I am with the Battlehawks, and they found something they thought that I would love to own. So David, just because to show you how lighthearted this is, because it's nothing personal, man. And you talk about the Battle Chicken Slayer. This was what I got for a Christmas gift, and my grandkids were so damn proud of it. I told them I would wear it on tonight's show. That's right.
fantastic.
That's right. But next time you see this beat, know that we're playing and you are not.
Oh,
Look, stop the clock. I did not want to come in, but somebody goaded me into coming in on this show tonight. Let
it me?
me show you guys something. Listen, you're right. Hey, David Arlington, put his comment up because we all know who my favorite quarterback was. Daddy Ed, who was my favorite quarterback?
Jesus.
In the
AJ McCarron, baby. Woo!
idiot, right there.
If I have to hear Danucci is Gucci on this, freaking team, I'm done. Jesus.
Shut up.
David, listen, David, I hate to break the news to you, pal, because I am a huge Seattle fan base, love Seattle, but when you have a director of player personnel say, been a long week, wanted to say thanks to Randy, Joey, Larry, and Mark, not only rivals, but friends, also Coach Hazlitt, T-Buck Phillips, and Coach Bevins, thank you and hope you are back soon and best of luck. Key word, hope you are back soon. David, that is not a goodbye. That is not a shout out. That is a goodbye to the teams. Dave Broller broke the news. Dave Broller broke the news of what teams are going to be gone.
No. Corey Latimer did, but he deleted the tweet.
No.
Oh, yeah. Cody Latimer says,
David.
Where am I going to be?
Where am I
David.
going? Who's coming to
He
get me?
said it and he deleted the tweet.
David.
I should have snapped it.
It's not there, David. It's not there anymore. And David, when you watch this show, when you watch any show that is affiliated with the X-Fan Legion, you don't think we have sources.
No, he
Those
don't.
are the 4 teams that are gone, and I hate to say it. I got a Nooch flag right here. The Nooch flag right there. Got the Nooch flag. David, I hate to say it, bro, but they're gone.
David should have come to this show for a source from day one.
Right,
Listen,
David. Listen, we will
Hey.
welcome you to the Battlehawks because we are getting the Nooch as our quarterback. The
No.
Nooch will be the quarterback of the
No, we're
St.
not.
Louis
No, we're not.
Battlehawks.
Well, he'll be AJ's backup.
He ain't going to be AJ's backup. AJ's going to Birmingham, playing there. So that's where he's going. We're getting the Nooch. The Nooch. And then what he's going to do is the Nooch is going to run over Scooby Wright like he did Silas Kelly, and he's going to nooch him. He's going to nooch him. He's going to nooch him.
Listen,
Weren't you
Y'all
watching
talking-
wrestling or something?
I was watching AEW. That's why I'm all fired up. And damn it, Daddy Ed, you said I was gonna get you.
I told you I'd bait you. I told you I'd bait you.
Said you were gonna bait me, you son of a biscuit. And I got baited because these people come on here and talk stupid shit.
all right. Goodbye, sir.
I was gonna say, who's in charge tonight, A-Train? Get this under control.
Yeah, get this guy out of here.
Off, man. Goodbye. You're gone, man. Go home.
Oh.
So,
No.
so explain to me, A-Train, how this happens.
What you mean?
How can they come out via players, and you would think the players would have the inside track?
See, right there, Ryan Murphy finally got it. A smart guy.
Go on,
Would you get rid of that guy? God,
Go away. I can't.
They come out and they say we're going to protect 42 players. We're going to have a 10-player draft. We're going to have a 10-player draft with the remaining XFL players that are vacated by the 4 teams not returning. Then we're going to throw the rest into this huge pool, and we're going to have an XFL USFL draft in January. Okay, so everybody's like, oh, okay, I get it now. What happens on Facebook the next day and the next day and the next day?
I hate dirty.
Battlehawks signed this player. Birmingham signs this player. The Texas Gamblers signed this player. And it's like, how the hell can that be happening? I mean, how is that happening?
Lost control, man.
You know, Anthony Beck comes out and he wants to introduce the Battlehawks signing the Defensive Player of the Year from the Vegas Vipers linebacker. And we're like, yeah, baby, you know, you're all pumped up. And then you're like, well, wait a minute. How did
How'd
that
that
happen?
happen? Yeah.
How was we able to do that? So, you know, A-Train being one of the legends of XFL podcasts, make this all make sense to me. How this is
A-Train,
how to get Peter Tomapino, the XFL's Defensive Player of the Year. I have no idea. I don't know how this happened, but I'm grateful that it happened. But here's the thing. Everything of this is signing letters of intent. So that means that these guys are intending to return to the Battlehawks. Come on, man. What we're looking at coming up in 2024, and we're way less than 100 days away. We're like 94, 95 days away from this. And we sitting back or waiting like, what is going to be the landscape? You know, now we got the drama going on with the United Football Players Association and the USFL Players Association. And they're trying to all get things corrected so, you know, they can get themselves prepared for the upcoming season, right? But these are all letters of intent, which I don't like that term because I'm thinking it's more like college. Like, I intend to play here, but if it doesn't work out, I'm not going to play here. Like, that's what's confusing right now. You know what I mean? And so this whole ordeal, I'm grateful to see that Tomapino was able to, but that's a sign. That should be a sign right there. That
Well,
should
yeah,
let you know what's
Ed
about
and
to
I talked
happen.
about this. Ed and I talked about this earlier. I can take what Jeff Bennett said the other night. I can take that. I can look in and say, okay, I understand it. You get to protect 42 players. We have the 10-player draft from just the XFL, and then the USFL has their side, and then we put the players into a pool from both leagues, and I can wrap that around. Okay, I can wrap my head around that. But then I see all these players signing, coming across, and I'm like, but the Defensive Player of the Year didn't play for the Battlehawks. He played for the Vegas Vipers. And now all of a sudden, he's a Battlehawk, but the draft hasn't happened. Like, that's the part that makes me, unfortunately, question a lot of things, because if this is happening, how can what they've given us be the guide if they're allowing teams, and I see a lot of Birmingham, a lot of Battlehawks, how does that happen?
But it must be true, though, because Anthony Beck himself, Coach Beck, come out and introduced the Vegas Viper linebacker as an official Battlehawk. So, I mean,
That's not just an intent.
You can't call that.
That's fake news.
You can't say, thanks, President Trump. You can't say that when Coach Beck comes out and says that he's a Battlehawk now. So Cody Latimer come out today and said that the draft that was supposed to be today, thus the reason why we had the show tonight, we were going to be cutting edge, baby. Instead of tonight, it's going to be Friday. So now we're waiting patiently 2 more days.
Right, and he deleted the tweet.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, wait a minute. I'm going back and looking at it. I'm like,
I saw it. I should have screenshotted it.
I know what I saw.
Should have screenshotted it.
Yeah, I saw it too.
Should have did it the minute that he
David, I love you, man. I still, it's one of these days, Dirty is going to DoorDash and he's going to deliver a large Coke Zero to my door, and I'm going to know. I'm going to know that it was from you, David. But please, you got to get off this conspiracy theory thinking that all this is still fake news, because it's not fake news, dude. It's just not. So
unfortunately, Seattle they just didn't support their team. I mean, location was going to hurt them anyway, but they didn't support their team.
Here's my thing, though. Here's my thing, Easy E. I don't think that it's not about Seattle being non-supportive of their team. I'm just thinking they're just taking a back seat for this season or 2 or even 3 until these 8 squads, they come together, they get this thing jumping, get the thing moving where they can get back into the league. I don't think they're dead. As much as I want to sit back and think that.
And I will agree with you, A-Train, but I will say this. If it's a 1-year hiatus or if it's a 2-year hiatus, Seattle better use this time to get their crap together, because if they come back into the league, they got to be better from a fan base standpoint than what they were in 23.
Again, folks, let me tell you something right here. I'm going to tell you this right here. 2020, when Seattle was right there among the league leaders in attendance, right? Everybody was getting on board with it because of what was going on with them, was going on with the Seahawks and all of that. They were on board. But then when it came to 2023, it was about a trust factor. That's why Houston didn't have the attendance that they had. That's why Seattle didn't have the attendance that they had. But we was like, well, why DC? Well, DC, the Defenders, they were an entertaining team. And when you saw how good they really are, you got that crowd coming in, especially on a Sunday for those games. And I think so. They were already hip, so they were already feeling the effects of what football on a Sunday is like. So they were doing it at Audi Field, and then they put in together with the whole the beer snake. When they brought that into the mix, oh man, that just took off. You know what I mean? And so that was the key thing here for these squads, man. It was about a trust factor, bringing them back in. Got to bring them back in, man. And it was a slow pan. St. Louis was never going to be a problem. We're banking off of that.
Here's the thing that Ed and I have talked about, and I've talked about this with Jersey. I've talked about this with a couple people. I still think that the biggest success factor going forward, it's not the product on the field. I felt like we had a really good product in the XFL last year. I didn't watch much of the USFL, so I can't say anything about that. But I will tell you, the product in the XFL, I thought, was very entertaining. Mm-hmm. To me, and I've said this at length the last couple shows, if they do not get the marketing together, if they do not get the promotion of this, if they do not get it, it's actually twofold. If they don't get the promotion, the marketing, the league itself, get their crap together so you don't have David out there saying, yeah, we're still going to have 12 teams, 10 teams, whatever. that we actually know what we're going to have. And then we start there. We start promoting. They merchandise. They do all that kind of stuff. And then that's the first thing. The second thing is, I know it sucks for Vegas. I know it sucks for Seattle. I know it sucks for the teams that are gone. But if you love spring football, I'm talking to everybody right into the camera. If you love spring football, then you need to support it no matter where it's at, whether you have it or whether you don't. You stay engaged. You pay attention to it, and I'm telling you right now, again, they're gone, but they're not dead. But if you don't support spring football, it might all be dead from here on out. That's going to be the two biggest keys going forward for us to keep this league together, to make it thrive, and to make it something that people look forward to in the spring rather than not even knowing it exists. If they don't fix those couple of things, I'm telling you, whether you have a team or not, we're all dead in the water.
That
So
answer
hot-
is yes.
So hot off the press, delivered to me by Brett. USFL PA Players Association and League announcement. Your union has been informed of the following updates. The player allocation period, phase 1 and 2, has been pushed back until next week. New dates and times have not been confirmed. The league plans to make an announcement in the upcoming week regarding full details of the newly merged league. As always, we will pass along updates as we get them in real time. That's from the USFL PA.
We're almost in January.
Yeah.
We're supposed to
But
report
and
February.
that's where we're headed. Is January is when this announcement is going to come. It's not going to come this month. You can forget it.
But here's the deal. It's kind of like me. It's kind of like if I had this most exciting product and I was really up on it. And I told people, hey, we're going to have something next week. Stay tuned. And then next week rolls around. And I say, hey, wait a second. Not this week, but next week. Stick with me here.
Look,
and then the following week.
I can't wait for this.
The following week, it's like, oh, well, we don't have it yet. I mean, we wouldn't be doing this if we weren't serious fans of the XFL. Not just your average guy. We're serious fans. And we're getting frustrated. What's the guy who just likes to tune in on a Sunday to catch a Battlehawks, DC game? What's he even thinking? If he's not following it like we are, he might be totally out. He might be completely out already. What are we doing? They've got to get it together to where we've got some meat and potatoes here to work with, not just continue to push it down the road. I mean, the way it's going, they're going to have their teams drafted February 18th, and they're going to report February 22nd. What are we doing?
Okay.
It's a bad look.
You got to update your thing now and say that was a Easy E rant.
You gotta give him a rant.
God, it drives
We
me
gotta
nuts.
get down with
We're
an Easy E rant.
gonna work on that. We're gonna work on that. We're gonna work on that for sure.
Drives me nuts.
But listen, here's the thing, man. Somebody had put some. I saw some comments on it. Yes, I do get that. Everything has been pushed back, and I'm trying to, with little patience with this, is try to be very as patient as possible with what's going on, man. And that's what's hard. Will DC be in the USFL division? Absolutely not. I don't believe that for 1 minute. No. There's going to be an XFL division and a USFL division. So
Has to be.
If you were part of the XFL, that's what you're going to be. And trust me, believe it or not, that brings more fun to the table.
Absolutely.
I know people are not looking at it that way, but it brings more fun to the table. That if you don't make a north or south, you give an X against the U, and they going against each other. Come on, man, you're gonna have matchups like this all year long. You're gonna have at least one matchup against the USFL, right? Every team will have a matchup against them, and then you play twice against your own division. That's gonna be awesome. The problem I have with this is that it should be starting in February, not March. That's my problem.
And you can't even really say March because it's like March 30th, so it's like the end of March.
Right. So you might as well give me. They're doing April again. So they're doing April to June is what they're doing again. Is if you ain't seeing it,
Yeah.
it's in March 30th. But that's what's going to be the cool thing about that. And I'm hoping
Ev-
that when all that's said and done, they go back to the beginning and say, hey, we're going to put this back in early March or something, or February or something. You're going to have to go against March Madness, man. That's just how it's going to be. But then there are people that don't follow college basketball, can't stand when college basketball is on.
It's gonna
Right.
be it's gonna be something because the USFL division, they'll play themselves in their division twice, and then they'll play the XFL once. Every XFL game against Birmingham is gonna be a big should-do because they're gonna want to know how they stack up to the
Yep.
best of the USFL. So every time there's a DC versus Birmingham, St. Louis versus Birmingham, you name it, San Antonio or Arlington, no different. Everybody's going to be measuring up to Birmingham. And
But look what that creates. That creates instant. Okay, you don't even have to be a good team, XFL, USFL, team themselves. But when you say the XFL is a division and the USFL is a division, that instantly creates the tension that fans are looking for. Because the USFL wants to get on here and say, "Puh, the XFL blah," and the XFL wants to get on here and say, "USFL Pony League." That I like the excitement. I agree with you, A-Train. I think it gives an added mix that's going to be exciting football. But my God, can we at least get some of the basics together so we can at least talk some of the basics rather than just seriously, we are literally almost to January and we are still, I hate to say it, we're still basically talking potential because we don't have anything we know what the 8 teams are going to be, but we're still talking potential. Can we please talk facts and go off of those rather than, well, here's the 8 teams, now have at it. Well, what's it going to be? We got to have that. We got to have that. If they don't, they're just, the people are just going to start folding off because it's going to be like, this is a cluster. This is a nothing burger.
Okay. So to keep the ball rolling, okay, we're going to get into a couple quick topics.
Okay.
All right. They just announced the finalists for the 2024 Hall of Fame. I want to know top 5. Don't have to be in order. Just out of this list, who are the 5? I'm going to say there's going to be 5 going in. So you tell me who it's going to be.
Okay.
We got defensive back Eric Allen, defensive end Jared Allen, offensive tackle Willie Anderson, offensive lineman Jari Evans, defensive end Dwight Freeney, tight end Antonio Gates, defensive back Rodney Harrison, punt returner, kick returner, wide receiver Devin Hester, wide receiver Torrey Holt, wide receiver Andre Johnson, defensive end Julius Peppers, running back Fred Taylor, wide receiver Reggie Wayne, linebacker Patrick Willis, and safety Darren Woodson. Holy crap, that's a long list. That's a long list. That's a long list.
And we got to wait till February 8th for when they have the formal announcement.
Holy cow. Well, I gotta think Antonio Gates gets in. He was you talk about a mainstay tight end. Wow.
Dominating.
He was like so then you go into,
listen, you got
go ahead. Help me out here.
I'm gonna make this argument, and I'm gonna use some of A-Train's words. Okay, here we go.
Uh-oh.
Everybody step up, because this has irritated me from the get-go. Okay, I'm gonna use Cam Newton's words too. Game changer, right?
Okay.
We all love game changers. Can do things that make the game spectacular.
Right.
If Devin Hester does not get in the Hall of Fame, being the game changer, being the electricity that he could bring to a game was unbelievable. The way he changed the game, unbelievable. And it's never going to happen again because of the way the NFL has absolutely just made the kickoff irrelevant. I mean, they could take a page from the XFL and make the kickoff way more entertaining. But Devin Hester should be in the Hall of Fame because that dude was more of a weapon in special teams. I mean, if you want to come out and say, well, special teams doesn't matter, okay, let's just get rid of it then if it doesn't matter. But because it matters, that is on this whole list. You can say Antonio Gates is a game changer on offense. Jared Allen was a game changer on defense. You can go Julius Peppers, game changer on defense. I got news for you. Tell me another man on this planet that has ever been more of a game changer than Devin Hester in special teams.
Brought to you by Chicago Bear Homer fan.
Hey, that's fine. Listen, call me a Homer fan all you want.
You did it. You guys don't need me to come back. You guys don't
Oh,
need me to
God.
come
No, we
back
didn't.
on.
We
Didn't
didn't.
ask
We
you to
did.
do nothing.
Nobody asked you to come in.
Here's what I'm going to tell you about this new division and this new XFL. Stallions are
Yo, hey,
My
we ain't even
God.
talking about that topic.
Yeah,
We
we're
didn't even
talking
talk
about-
about
Hold on,
that
I'm
anymore.
going to give you something. Stallions are going 10-0.
Oh, whatever. Goodbye.
I'm going 500. Devin Hester. It was not. Listen, Devin Hester may be in the Hall of Fame, but a few years. Torrey Holt definitely does not belong to be in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, so I
Isaac
knew he
Bruce
was
doesn't
coming in
deserve
just
to
to
be
talk
in the
that.
Hall of Fame.
That's the only reason. He
Yeah,
can't.
That's it.
he's got a bag. He's got a bag any player St. Louis.
Kurt Warner deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and so does Marshall Falk.
They're already
That's
in.
Yeah.
That's
No,
it.
he's
He's the only
saying
one.
he's saying that Isaac Bruce shouldn't have deserved to get in the Hall of
No,
Fame at all.
Isaac Bruce was soft. Torrey Holt was soft.
Pace is in the Hall of Fame. Orlando
Pace
Pace is in
deserves
the
to
Hall.
be in the Hall of Fame. That's a big dude. That's a big dude. Hey, Daddy Ed, before I go, Daddy Ed, how's that jersey doing? How's that jersey doing you're wearing?
It's a good number, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
Oh, the cheese is
Jared
off.
Allen, baby. Jared Allen.
He got the cheese off.
Oh, no, that was actually marinara sauce.
Oh, did you get it off?
Yeah,
Off?
it came
I was
off. He saw a dilemma the other day
Oh,
where
it's a limb. I'd never seen a
I
grown
was eating
man cry.
lasagna the other day, and I got a string cheese and marinara on my white letter. Would the world had come to an end as we know it, right in the middle of the meal.
Eric, you've seen him eat before, right? You've seen
Oh,
him
yeah.
eat before. It's like an animal. It's like an animal.
Yeah, don't get
I
your
mean,
hands too close,
everybody's
man.
eating, and we're singing Christmas tunes and everything, and all of a sudden, "Ah!
I've never seen a grown man cry before. Never seen a grown man cry.
I got something like that! Ah!"
Never seen a grown man cry. It was ridiculous. And you know,
Nobody move! Nobody
Right,
move!
that's exactly what he was doing, Eric. That's exactly what he was doing. And the only person out of the four of us on this, there's only two of us that are wearing decent shirts. Me wearing the Vegas shirt, and then Eric wearing Coach Rocco Beck. Rocco Beck, the
We're gonna
best.
get Coach on here. We're gonna get Coach on the bottom line. I'm gonna be
Right.
representing.
The
I might even
only
put.
team in Iowa. The only team in Iowa, Iowa State.
Anyway, A-Train, if we kick him off, I'd like to hear what your Hall of Fame group is.
Oh man, I'm sorry you had took me out with that. Though.
Can you not imagine, though? I mean, red right down the white here. It was.
And a
I'm
quarter that
I'm
lands on the
literally
right.
at the Christmas table with a Tide pin, and I'm just going in my jersey like crazy.
I ain't never seen a grown man cry at the table over the jersey.
Oh,
Okay, all right. Let me get this out. Okay, let me hurry up and say it. I'm already bugging up as it is. Okay. Oh man. I have to agree with Eric. Devin Hester should be there instantly because he was like a human joystick. You know, him and Dante Hall at a time, it was like the two of them. Like I'm really mad that Dante Hall didn't even get any love for the Hall of Fame, like even
Right.
consideration. You know what I mean? But Devin Hester became that guy. It's like Dante Hall Dante Hall walks, so Devin Hester could crawl, something like that. You know what I mean?
That's
But
right.
Devin Hester definitely deserves to be there. Julius Peppers deserves to be on this. See, another bear for you, Eric.
Yep. There's going to be Bears jerseys all over. Jared Allen, Julius
Oh,
Peppers, Devin
Oh,
Hester.
Jared
I
Allen, you
will-
ain't taking credit for Jared Allen. my friend.
I will agree on Patrick Willis. Somebody had mentioned that. Patrick Willis is another guy. Antonio Gates, yeah, I definitely see that because he was a real big game changer as a tight end. Man, it's those DBs is what I'm having a hard time
Mm-hmm.
coming up with
Isn't it the
because
same scenario as the wide receivers where you get a log jam of so
You
many
know,
good ones? They can't
there's
let them
so
all
many
in.
good
Yeah.
ones. That's what I'm saying, man. Like if I had to pick between Eric Allen, Rodney Harrison, and the other was Darren Woodson, I would almost have to go with Rodney Harrison. And I hate to do it. I can't stand Rodney Harrison for the life of me. But but you know, a lot of St. Louis Rams fans are very happy for Rodney Harrison for what he did to Trent Green. Not saying what he did to Trent Green was okay, but it led to Kurt Warner, you know, the rise of Kurt Warner and you know, the getting the Super Bowl down the line. You know what I mean? So but Rodney Harrison would be the fifth person that I would put in in the Hall of Fame if they only put 5. Now if they put more, I'm throwing Torrey Holt in there real quick. And then I would throw in one more. I would throw in Dwight Freeney. I will really throw in Dwight Freeney in that list because he won no, he did not win a Super Bowl with the Colts.
No, he did
He
not.
left. He left right after that.
Yep.
I know, Chris. Eric Allen, I know he should be there. But Darren Woodson would be on that because he won 3 Super Bowls with the Cowboys.
I think
So that's gonna be
Jared
tough,
Allen
man.
makes the finals. I don't know if he's a first
Here, hold on,
ballot
Ed.
or not.
Hold on, Ed. I'll go next, and then you finish it up. Okay. Here's where I'm at. I think Antonio Gates is a lock.
Yeah, he's a
I
lot.
think Devin Hester deserves to be there. He probably isn't a lock, but I think that dude deserves to be there. Julius Peppers to me is a lock. The dude was a
Freak of
wrecking
nature,
ball.
man. He was a freak
Oh
of
my
nature.
God! Like
He was
I
a true freak
mean,
of nature.
he was a freak in nature. I think Julius Peppers needs to be there. I agree with you. You know, you start stacking up the DBs, but I go with Harrison too. I give the nod to Harrison. I don't necessarily hate him like you do, but I mean, I give the nod to him. And then, you know, when I get past those 4, you know, my heart wants to go with Jared Allen, but man, you know, I could see Eric Allen. I could see, you know, that's going to be tough.
Eric
could
Allen
see-
was one of mine that I think. Yeah,
I mean, I could see Eric Allen in that 5th spot if they only
I'm
take
trying to
5.
remember. You know, when you get into these years that these players played, because of course, I watched them all. I mean, a lot of these players were in the height of my NFL stuff. You try to remember back in the day when they were playing. Were they on ESPN? Were they the SHIT when it come to
The highlight reel guy.
Yeah, the highlight reel time, and you can go through and there's players like, you know, Eric Allen,
Even a Reggie Wayne.
Antonio Gates,
You know, those guys.
you know, Devin
There is one.
Hester, you know, Torrey Holt. God, I remember Torrey Holt, but Torrey Holt was never a big touchdown guy. I mean, he was a yardage guy.
Oh man, you just made Dirty smile. He's smiling from ear to ear after hearing you say that. Oh, he's
I mean,
smiling.
he wasn't a big touchdown guy. He was all about yardage, but in a way, how do you hold that against him? Because Kurt Warner was throwing to Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Marshall Faulk out of the backfield. I mean, he had to spread the wealth. So when you had a wide receiver that, you know, got 1,500 yards or whatever for the season, and only had 7 touchdowns or whatever. And you think, he only had 7. But in that type of offense, he was an
Ed,
integral part of
are
making
you
it happen.
saying that a grocery boy from the Iowa Barnstormers in his second
Who I
year,
watched when he played in Des Moines, by the way.
in his second year, with weapons like Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt and Marshall Falk, are you seriously telling me now that
You know where he's
won
going
MVP?
with it. You know where he's going with this A train, don't you?
Are you
I see where
seriously?
you're going.
He's comparing that to Brock Purdy throwing to Debo. And,
Well, I'm just saying. Are we seriously
Always
saying
that.
that a grocery sacker from the
But-
Iowa Barnstormers?
At the same time, you're talking about Purdy. Back in those days, Kurt Warner and Marshall Falk, league MVP, were neck and neck and neck every year. So
Did
as
the
I
quarterback-
talk about McCaffrey, you talk about Purdy, just like I'd be a
Did
Falk
the
guy when
quarterback
you was
win it?
talking about Warner.
Did the quarterback win the MVP?
Marshall Falk got one too, didn't he?
What year?
2000.
Was it 2000? So
Yeah,
Him and
Warner
Kurt
must have been
Warner,
99.
were doing this and that for a couple, 2, 3, 4 years in a row.
But I
You
can't
had
believe
the debate
Kurt got
of is
two
it
of
the quarterback or the running back?
I can't believe they gave it to the quarterback because he had all those weapons and he was just a grocery
Oh my God, he's
stalker from
starting that
Iowa.
stuff. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Oh my goodness, man.
I mean, the dude was with the Iowa Barnstormers, for crying out loud. Can we really give the MVP to a guy
And
like that?
I was in Des Moines watching him play, thinking, God, he should be playing in the NFL. But look what happened.
You're not taking credit for Kurt Warner, are you? Did you watch
No,
his movie?
I know what the reason why he's on here right now is because he trashed Torrey Holt. That's the reason why. That's the reason. He trashed Torrey Holt. And I said, you're going to love it. I hate him. Go away. He gritted too hard at this, man. Because he's like, I knew it. The minute you said that, Ed, he was all
Okay. All right. So enough with that. Okay,
Thank you.
let's move on to the college football playoffs.
Oh boy.
The big
Mhm.
Final Four. Who do we think is going to make it to the national championship game and why?
Oh Lord.
You want to go,
Man.
A-Train, or you want me to start?
Start it off, sir.
All right, here we go. So I've gone back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I've come to the conclusion, now, this could be totally wrong, but I've come to the conclusion that I really do think that it is going to be a rematch national championship game. I think it's going to be Alabama, and I think it's going to be Texas. I think there's 2 things that are going to happen. Now, I know in the one of the biggest games I want to watch is the Florida State-Georgia game, but I know there's some guys that aren't playing because of NFL and things like that, so that can change the bowl games, outside of the national championship, because I think that'll be a good indicator too that we might, show guys like Jersey that they were big time wrong. But I think I really do think Alabama. I mean, they've came together. They've been playing. They've been playing really well. They beat a solid Georgia team in the SEC championship. I mean, I guess with Michigan, it just comes down to prove it to me. I'm actually rooting for Michigan. I just don't think they can beat Alabama.
Just let me say one quick thing to Woody is I heard on the grapevine that the Alabama Crimson Tide are going to be wearing a Florida State patch just so Florida State can have a chance to know what it's like to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, there you go.
God only knows they never deserved to be in the top 4 to begin with.
Yeah. So my prediction, again, it very easily, but it very easily,
All right.
It very easily. could
You
be
lost. You
Michigan.
lost that debate, big guy. You lost that
All right,
debate.
all right.
We don't need to go back to that one.
Yeah. Listen, A-Train. A-Train, when he called me and I talked to him after that debate, he's like, dude, you have to watch that show, man. I could just tell he was doing this with the phone when he was
He
talking
was
to me.
flexing the whole freaking
He's
show.
like, you got to check it out, baby. He's like rolling his sleeves
I had
up
the
like, there you
debate.
go, baby.
I had the debate, and then I celebrated my favorite number right there, baby.
Hey,
Woo!
that's what cracks me up with this. Just because the person that led them to the undefeated season wasn't playing in the New Year's Six game. You mean to tell me that people still didn't want to see if they could make that happen if they got there? Because anything can happen. That's what
Nobody
people
wants
fail
to see a
People fail to-
snoozer.
So wait, if it happened, then what?
Nobody
Well,
wants to see a
If it
snoozer.
happened, then what?
So when they went to the halftime, and you got the guys sitting around the podium going,
Yeah.
wait a minute, Florida State quarterback, let's look at his
Listen,
stats.
see,
He's
that's
2
a
for
whole
15,
That
2
is
for
a
15 for
total
17
different
yards.
game. That is a total
And
different
no
game,
touching.
man. Total different game, man. Look, and they did everything they were supposed to do, and they still all the boxes were checked. And they
A-Train.
still, man,
Listen, A-Train, I hope for your man card that Florida State absolutely just shit thumps Georgia. So you can come on the show after all that and say, see, they got screwed.
If
But-
Georgia, yeah,
But-
we're doing an A-train rant to
Wait,
begin
I'm
the
doing
bottom
the
line.
complete-
But I will tell you,
I'm doing the complete
Yeah.
opposite.
if Georgia goes in there and it's a this kind of game by halftime,
Listen,
you're not going to want to come on this show for 2
Listen.
weeks or better.
listen. I'm gonna tell you now. I hope Florida State don't play at all. I hope they let Georgia steamroll them, just as a protest to say we don't want to play in this little
No,
stupid
it ain't
game.
gonna be.
Anyway.
No,
See,
if they watch the game and it
Oh, you
turns
call
out
it
that
cop out
way,
all you-
if it turns out that way, they're going to say, see, Florida State gave it their all. Because you ain't going to tell me that there ain't everybody and their cousin thinking that Florida State ain't going to get rolled by Georgia.
It would behoove. It wouldn't say that if they just beat them. If they have to beat y'all saying they have to steamroll Georgia, but all they have to do is win. If
no,
they
just
beat-
win.
No, that's all they
Oh,
have to
win.
do.
Yeah, just
That's
win.
all they have to do.
But I'm
They
saying,
can win 1-0 and everything.
yes.
But if Georgia
they-
beats them 42-14 or something like
Ugh,
that, oh,
that's going to be
God.
That's going to be like Ed's going to come on and he's going to have a light behind his head so it just shows the glow from behind him.
Here's the deal. Okay, so Eric, who did you take? Who's
I got
making it to
a
the national
Bama
championship?
Texas rematch.
You got a
and listen,
Bama Texas rematch. What about you, A-Train?
Let's see. No, for the sake of it, I'm gonna.
SC's not in there.
No, I know who cares. I know Florida State is not in it, but for a simple fact, I'm going with Michigan and Washington, the other two teams that nobody else want in the national championship. Because people do not want Michigan there.
No,
You damn sure don't want Washington.
Well,
A-Train, I'm rooting for Michigan. I just don't think they got it to beat Alabama. I hope they
here's the
do.
deal. Here's the deal.
Underdog.
If Michigan,
I'm going for
if
the
Michigan is ahead at halftime, Michigan will win the game because don't kid yourself. Michigan loves playing with a lead, and if they have a lead, they're going to start running that football. They'll run the football the whole second half if they have to. If they got a lead,
The thing about it is that and this is the reason why I went with Alabama, even though I'm a Jim Harbaugh fan. I don't care what people say about Jim Harbaugh. I like Michigan.
Bears.
I wanna-
All you saying it Bears.
Did you hear
He's a
about his
Bear.
contract?
Uh-uh.
10 years,
Oh yeah.
$125 million.
Yeah.
But
He's got to stay for 1 year. He can't
the
go to the
whole
NFL for 1
first
year.
year, he cannot entertain any NFL job.
Yep, I did see that.
Period.
But I will tell you, Ed, what you said is Michigan trying to take the air out of the ball. taking the air out of the ball, even against an Ohio State, is different than taking the air out of the ball against the Alabama front. That front line Alabama.
True blue. I am true blue Big Ten. And if Michigan wins the national championship, I'd be happier than a lark. But ultimately, my pick for the national championship game is going to be Nebraska. Now we really will have a laugh. Anyway, the national championship game will be Alabama versus Texas.
You going the same route? That's what everybody wanted. And guess
route.
what? Everybody wanted to see that matchup too.
It's not that I necessarily want to see it. I'd be happy with Michigan, Washington. I'm not going to lie to you, because I will tell you this: Washington's a dangerous team. If Texas sleeps on Washington, I could see Washington rolling them. I could see Washington rolling them. I just think that, kind of the way things are lined up. How football kind of be a crazy game and things like that. I just think that we are destined to see a rematch. And I don't know. Are we going to have a show before the national championship game? I can't remember what the dates are.
Yeah, January 8th, I think, is the national championship.
So, we'll have a show.
I'm not gonna pick a winner. I'm not gonna pick a winner of that. But listen. Alabama's very tough up front.
Whoa! You ain't gonna drop your ovaries and grow a set and pick a winner. Drop the ovaries and pick.
Out of here.
Because I want to save it. I want to save it for that show. But I will tell you, the thing that Alabama has had for years, and that's what stymied a lot of good teams when they play Alabama, is they are tough to run the football against. And if Michigan wants to hang their hat on just running the football, that scares me a little bit. It really does. Even though I'm rooting for Michigan, that scares me a little bit.
I've got Michigan and Washington.
But all you guys that want to root against Michigan because they cheated, you talk about growing a set because they have cheated in football.
Why is he back?
They have cheated in football since they didn't even have face masks on those leather helmets. Why do you think guys are putting sunglasses and funny hats and big colored blocks and standing on the sidelines 4 wide, shaking everything around and doing this and doing that? Because they're trying to keep the other team from stealing their signs. So you want to sit there and act like Michigan is the only team that's ever tried to steal signs? Oh, my God.
No.
Get real.
Listen, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
And so,
that's what they say.
I don't want to hear.
Listen,
cheat till you get caught, right?
Yeah,
you get caught.
We all know the NCAA and how they came down on Michigan was just absolutely ridiculous.
That was a joke. The whole thing was a joke.
It was a joke, and it is what it is. But I will tell you, Michigan frost me exactly the way it happened with the state of Iowa. The state of Iowa decided to jump down the Hawkeyes and the Cyclones for the gambling. Are you telling me that the only students in the entire United States that were gambling, and whatever, were located in the state of Iowa?
Pause.
All I know is he is the redheaded stepchild of Iowa. The shirt he's wearing, he is a redheaded stepchild, and let me tell you why. I is just a guy going back to Iowa to spend Christmas with family and be with the people I love. Every convenience store between Hannibal, Missouri, and Northwest Iowa that I stopped at, and I wanted to get lottery tickets for the Ployer Christmas. Every single one I could get scratch tickets, lottery tickets that had Iowa Hawkeye emblems on it and colors and you name it. I couldn't find an Iowa State Cyclone lottery ticket to save my ass. So don't tell me that the state of Iowa isn't a Hawkeye state.
It's cheap. If you want it, listen. If you want to wear this, baby, it's going to cost you. We don't just give this away.
It's gonna cost me.
Hey, Train, you know what we say in the state of Iowa? You want to know what the difference between an Iowa State and an Iowa fan is?
What's that?
We graduate from our college.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna hold that out and say 7 wins max, baby.
Oh,
7 wins max.
Listen, if we played in the JV squad of the Big Ten, we'd have.
Oh my God! You had your redheaded. You got another redheaded stepchild, Nebraska, playing the Big Ten, and how have they done in the Big Ten?
Yeah.
What a joke they've been. You can have them back.
I don't know.
They can
I don't
go
know why
back
you
to
think
the Big
Nebraska.
12.
I don't know why you think Nebraska is such a powerhouse. I mean, I don't know.
Well, they still have it on their trailers, man. They have national champions from like 50 years ago.
I was in high school the last time Nebraska was relevant, so bringing Nebraska up is just a waste of time. Thank you, Ryan Murphy. Look at Ryan Murphy. That's a smart dude right there.
You guys, folks, if y'all been listening to the show for real, they are both of them mentioned who they wanted in the national championship. They said it. They ain't got to say no more. So this pick a winner crap, they did already. That's what you missing. They've already said it.
So next time, which will be, when are you coming back into the States, man? You're like leaving.
We'll be back the 3rd. We'll be back the 3rd.
Oh hell! So we'll have a show sometime next week.
We'll be able to talk. We'll be able to talk semifinals, and then we'll have the final set.
So I want to thank A-Train for coming on the show tonight. It's always good to have a legend of XFL football come on.
A-Train's a legend, but if he can't keep Dirty out of the show any better than he did tonight, we're gonna have to figure something out.
Listen, let me tell you something.
That's on you, bud.
There are some keys that have been given and copied, and I can't do anything about it.
That's right. You can't and you never will be able to.
I can't do nothing about it.
Oh, God.
Nothing about it. That's the sad part, man. I cannot do nothing about it. I can lock him out, but guess what? He got a key.
Everybody have a fantastic rest of 2023. Don't party too hardy on New Year's Eve. Remember, be responsible. Don't drink and drive. Do like we're going to do. We're just going to stay overnight wherever we're at. That's all we're doing. But we will be back next week. We will wait and see how things drop with the draft, and we'll try to come back on when we got some XFL, USFL to talk about. Till then, have a great weekend, everybody. Happy New Year.